The air buzzed with excitement in Rome, a city that hadn't witnessed such a crowd in ages. People from every corner of the world, from all walks of life, poured into this ancient place. The energy was thrilling, brimming with hope and a fresh start. The streets hummed with voices, chatter, laughter, and even a few joyful tears. It felt like something extraordinary was happening, a moment so special it would be remembered forever. Before proceeding further with the video, please subscribe to the channel. Sunlight poured over St. Peter's Square, where millions had gathered. The square, a beacon of faith and togetherness, turned into a sea of faces, each one carrying its own story, its own journey. The golden rays seemed to bless the day, wrapping the crowd in a warm, glowing embrace. It was as if the sky itself knew how big this moment was. Everyone's eyes were glued to the balcony. You could feel the tension, the eager whispers rippling through the air as people wondered about the new leader who'd soon step out. That balcony, famous for big announcements, now held the world's full attention. It was like everyone was holding their breath together, waiting for what was next. Then it happened. A new pope was about to speak. This wasn't just a church thing, it was a worldwide moment of hope and unity. The weight of it hit everyone. Change was coming, a new chapter beginning. The world watched, hearts pounding, for that first look at the new pontiff. Out stepped Pope Tagle, the first Asian pope. His smile lit up the square, kind, understanding, and full of connection. When he waved, a wave of feelings crashed through the crowd. This was history in the making, a sign of a new path for the Catholic Church. His eyes told a story of strength and quiet wisdom, the kind that comes from a life of challenges met and overcome. That calm look of his, it made people trust him. Here was a leader who knew tough times lay ahead, but saw the chance to make things better, to bring growth and renewal. This was a moment so big it would echo through time, a memory to be shared for generations. It was the start of a brand new story for the Catholic Church, and everyone there knew it was special. The day shimmered with hope, a chance to begin again, full of possibility. The church was at a fork in the road. Big choices were coming, and they'd decide what the future would look like. It was a time to pause, look back at what had been, learn a little, and then turn toward tomorrow with grit and a smile. Change was in the air, and the whole world was watching, eager to see what would happen. Pope Tagle stepped up, his words carrying the spark of something new. His voice was soft but mighty, filled with strength. He talked about love and kindness, about reaching out to people who'd felt left behind or lost. His words hit deep, like a warm light breaking through the dark, promising better days ahead. He spoke of a church that wasn't just walls and pews, but a wide-open family where everyone was welcome. His message was bold, yet gentle, a wake-up call to live with love, care, and open hearts. The crowd was all ears, hanging on every word, feeling the truth of it sink in. This wasn't just a new leader, it was a new path, a fresh way of seeing things. Pope Tagle's words were a lifeline for the worn out, a bright signal for those in tough spots. He wasn't just talking about change, he was calling for it, loud and clear. It was about building a future where everyone mattered, and the crowd felt it in their bones. The world kept its eyes peeled, waiting to see how this new start would unfold. This was hope, renewal, and a big, exciting beginning all rolled into one. The world leaned in, buzzing with curiosity about what was coming next. This wasn't just any moment. It was a burst of hope, a fresh start, a chance to turn things around. Pope Taglio's speech lit up the air like a spark, calling for a revolution that started in the heart. He urged everyone to grab hold of love, kindness, and the idea that no one gets left out. His words sank in deep, promising a future that felt brighter for everyone. It was electric, his voice steady and strong, hitting every listener right in the chest. Standing there, he didn't just talk. He built every sentence like it was a brick in a new foundation. He wasn't afraid to face the tough stuff, pushing the church to look hard at its past with both toughness and care. He begged it to dig deep, to own up to centuries of mistakes, not to point fingers, but to heal and grow. He spoke of forgiveness and making things right, reminding everyone that you can't fix what's broken until you face it head on. People in the crowd were glued to his every word. Some even teared up, caught by how real and urgent he sounded. Then he tackled the abuse scandals that had rocked the church. No dodging, no soft words. He called it out plain and clear. He felt the hurt and anger of those who'd suffered, and he didn't hold back. Pope Taglio demanded more than apologies. He said sorry isn't enough. Action has to follow. The church, he said, had to step up, make sure the horrors of the past never happen again, and fight for justice for every victim. His voice carried their pain, their fury, and a fierce promise to do better. This was a moment that didn't just whisper hope, it shouted it, loud and unforgettable. Pope Taglio didn't just talk about the pain people had been through, he made it crystal clear that justice wasn't only about courts and laws. It was about doing what's right, deep down. The crowd listened, some nodding quietly, others wiping away tears, feeling the weight of his words. He turned the spotlight on the poor and the overlooked, the ones society often brushes aside. With a voice full of heart, he painted a picture of their struggles, hard lives the church couldn't ignore. He said it was the church's job to stand up for them, to live out Jesus' teachings by helping those who need it most. It wasn't just talk. He was calling everyone to roll up their sleeves and make a real difference in their own neighborhoods. Then he got fired up about fairness. He tackled the big, messy systems that keep people poor and hurting, calling out greed and the way the rich sometimes step on the vulnerable. His words hit like a thunderclap, slamming the idea of putting money over people. He wasn't just pointing fingers, he was lighting a fire, urging the church to fight for a world where everyone gets a fair shot. For those who'd been crushed by life, his speech was a lifeline, a promise that things could get better, and it made them believe it too. This wasn't just a takedown of what's wrong. It was a blueprint for building something better together. Pope Taglio, or Luis Antonio Tagalog, didn't come from a fancy life. He grew up in a simple, faithful Catholic family in the Philippines, seeing up close how regular folks struggled. That stuck with him, sparking a fire for justice and fairness. Known for being humble and kind, he was the kind of guy who got it. He listened to people, laughed with them, cried with them, and led by showing, not just telling. His road to being pope was something else. He'd been Archbishop of Manila, a thinker people respected, and a bridge builder between faiths. He ran Caritas, the church's worldwide charity, and his time in Asia shaped how he saw things. Poverty and unfairness weren't just ideas to him. They were real. That's why his words carried so much power. He'd lived it, and he knew what the church could do to change it. Pope Taglio saw the beauty in everyone's differences and knew that talking and working together could change the world. His speech was like a song, full of hope for some, but stirring up doubts for others. It sent ripples everywhere. Catholics cheered, seeing a leader who really got their dreams and worries. World leaders gave a thumbs up to his talk of unity and kindness. People fighting for fairness loved his push for action. But not everyone was on board. Some old-school folks in the church weren't happy. They liked things the way they were and didn't want change. The path ahead wouldn't be easy. Pope Tagle had a big dream, a church that opened its arms to everyone, especially those left out. He told Catholics to be friendly to newcomers, no matter their race, beliefs, or who they loved. He pushed the church to drop its biases and become a place where all kinds of people felt at home. A true reflection of a colorful, diverse world. He wanted a church that spoke up for those who couldn't, especially the poor. He reminded everyone that helping people in need wasn't optional. It was their job. He called out systems that made the rich richer while the poor got stuck, dreaming of a world that was fairer for all. Fixing the church, though, wouldn't be a quick job. Pope Tagle knew it'd be a tough, bumpy road with plenty of pushback from folks who didn't like new ideas. Still, he was ready to steer the church into a fresh chapter. He asked for teamwork, wanting to connect people instead of letting them drift apart. He believed the church could only grow stronger if everyone came together and made peace. And he couldn't do it solo. He needed the whole church to back him up. Pope Tagle's time as Pope promised something special, a church full of love, care, and fairness. Right from the start, he made it clear. Reaching out to the overlooked and forgotten was what mattered most. His vision wasn't just a plan, it was a heartbeat for a better tomorrow. Pope Tagle wasn't just about fixing things inside the church. He wanted to change how it connected with the whole world. He dreamed of a church that welcomed everyone, no matter where they came from or what they believed. His bold words lit a fire of hope in millions of hearts, striking a chord with people from all corners of life. He didn't just talk about rules. He spoke to real struggles, like poverty, unfairness, and the need for everyone to stick together. His point was simple. The church should be a bright light, doing good and lifting up those who feel lost. No one knew yet if he'd pull it off. The challenges were huge, and the road ahead was full of twists. But Pope Tagle didn't flinch. He knew change wouldn't happen fast, but he was all in for building a kinder, fairer church, step by step. His grit never wavered, and his trust in love's power was rock solid. One thing was for sure. His story would be remembered for his fierce dedication to love, compassion, and fairness. He wasn't just a boss. He was like a shepherd, leading with a gentle hand and a big heart. His actions shouted louder than his speeches. People loved his down-to-earth ways, comforting those in pain, hugging kids, and praying hard for everyone's happiness. In a world that can feel dark, he was a glowing light. His warm smile and calm vibe brought peace to people hurting or caught in tough times. When things got messy, he was the steady one, there to help and hold people up. His faith wasn't just his own strength, it lifted everyone around him, shining into the gloomiest places with his belief that people are good at heart. He proved that even when life gets rough, love can win. His whole life showed what compassion and fairness can do. To him, being a leader wasn't about being in charge, it was about helping others with humility and kindness. His legacy of love still pushes us forward, reminding us that no matter how hard things get, love is the strongest force there is. Oh, and hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our channel, God Always, for more cool videos and stories that make you think.